as you all said, thank you so much for all your input. The first step is preparing. As you said, we prepare our mentees to accept the process of mentoring. We help them to get ready. This is the same as the process of warm up that we do inside our classrooms. We are not starting the process of teaching, and we are not asking our students to learn from the very beginning, but we do some kind of warm up. So we need our mentees to get ready. So we need to build some kind of good relationship. We need to develop some kind of trust. I know that it will not be the highest level of trust, but we need to start of trust. By getting ready, we mean that we would like our mentees to be interested in this process. We don't want them to get bored from the very beginning. We need them to be fully aware that they are about to start something which is beneficial, something which is sustainable, learn with each other, and at the same time help others and impact on their students. When we do this, then we move to the second step. The second step is, or the second phase of this process is negotiating. And by negotiating, we mean establishing different agreements. We agree on the tools we are going to use to do this mentoring. Are we going to do one-to-one mentoring? Are we going to do group mentoring? Are we going to do distant mentoring? What are the different boundaries and timelines and the plans, how we could deliver the mentoring sessions? How could we do the meetings? How could we make sure that we help each other learn from the process of mentoring? So we have different things to agree on in the phase of establishing agreements, and the other future two phases will be based on two things: the level of trust and the good relationship we develop in the preparing phase, and at the same time how we define the agreements and how we establish the agreements in the negotiating phase. Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Said, is everything is okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I just check. The third phase is enabling growth. How we facilitate the learning process for our mentees. We started a good relationship. We develop and build upon this relationship and the trust. We agreed on different agreements, on limits, on resources, on how we will meet and how we will interact with each other. Now it's time to share more resources, to share more practice, to observe the teachers when they are teaching, to elicit the feedback from them, to give them role models, to recommend them or refer them back to different resources. So it's time to facilitate learning for our mentees, and at the same time, it is the time for us as mentors to develop our growth, to have more mentoring experience, to be able to deal with more and more mentees with different backgrounds, with different learning styles, with different backgrounds. Finally, we come to the last one, which is coming to closure, or what we call looking back and moving forward. Looking back at what? Looking back at the level of relationship and trust we have developed. Looking back at the agreements we have developed and how we made use of such agreements to facilitate learning. Looking back at the progress of the process of learning and how the process of mentoring impacted on teachers when they teach inside the classrooms and their students' progress and learning at the same time. What about moving forward to take this closure of the process of mentoring as a step forward? How will mentees build upon the experience inside their classrooms, and how possibly they could help others? And now it's time for mentees to change into mentors. And again, as we said before, this is one of the core values of Relo Mentor program, which is developing the ripple effect. You develop 10 mentors, They help, for example, 50 mentees. Then the other 50, those 50 mentees, one day will come to a closure, and then they are mentors, and they will help 100 mentees. The 100 mentees will do the same, and so on. So we all the time we sustain the process of teacher professional development. All the time we keep the impact of the mentoring process nurturing inside the classrooms and inside the schools. There are benefits for mentors to develop their experience as mentors and as experienced teachers helping others, and at the same time for mentees to be mentors and to help others, and so on. So the impact goes to more teachers and at the same time to more students. These are the 4 phases of the process of mentoring. So we start by preparing, by establishing relationship and developing trust. Then we move to negotiating when we establish agreements. Then we enable the growth of teachers by facilitating learning. Then we come to closure when we celebrate and we have some kind of feedback and reflection. We look back to what we have achieved to celebrate our successes, and at the same time to see what's next, what to do later on. These are the process of, or the 4 phases of the process of mentoring. Now it's time to come to what we call challenges and solutions. And here we will get back and stop sharing and ask you in the chat box, please. Let's see what are as a mentor, what challenges you face? You have recently started your mentoring journey. What the challenges you face? Let's get your great input as always. Let's get to the chat box and see what the mentoring challenges you face. And if you have a success story overcoming this challenge, please tell us in a very brief way. So we have working towards achieving the learning objectives, the mindset, thank you, Mr. Sharif. Assessing mentees' background, yes, thank you, Mrs. Nashwa. Other perspectives of mentoring, yes, Mrs. Ghada. Some people do not learn about mentoring and they couldn't see what benefits it has. Building up a good relationship, yes, one of these. Routines, yes, and bureaucracy. Students are not interested, yes. Traditional way of teaching and supervision, the mentees are used, yes. Resistance, thank you, Mr. Sharif. Change resistance is one of the key challenges. Traditional ways of teaching, learning, and supervision, thank you, Mrs. Asma. Persuading the IGs, but I would like to say not all of them, some of them, because when I started here, I would highlight it's not something personal, but something it's personal related to professional. When I started my mentoring journey in Monofia in 2017, I was so lucky to have a very open mindset IG. Once I took the plan, which I have developed in the practicum days of the Relo Mentor program, he gave the instructions to help me develop this plan, implement this plan. He gave orders, and then I could do this in, I think, 7 out of 9 idaras in Monofia. And I could do this for the senior supervisors, their supervisors, and then the senior teachers and heads of departments of English, math, and science, those who teach English. This is why I started an instructional coaching education community service initiative in Monofia, and I think it was somehow beneficial, and I continued it on a simple online platform, which is called ELTBD, a public Facebook group I started, and it is still on. Yes, Miss Amani, Corona is something, and I could see, yes, resistance. Diversion of mentees' mindsets towards modern approaches of teaching, yes, Mr. Mahdi, thank you so much. All your, yes, no desire, Mr. Muhammad, yes, traditional ideas. Thank you so much for all your great input. So if we could analyze all the great input you have on the chat box, we could summarize or do a brief on all of them, and let's see or get to the share screen and see how we could overcome such challenges. Could you see my screen, Mr. Saeed?
Yes,
My screen.
yes, go ahead, sir. Go ahead. Yes.
Thank you so much. First of all, as you said, mentees are not interested in the process of mentoring, are not interested in professional development. They could see that it is a process which does not pay at all or impact them. So what to do in such case? In such case, we need to help develop mentees' motivation. Why they are not interested? Simply because they don't have both extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Why do we do mentoring? Why we get into this process? If you help them to get why you do mentoring for them, it is something that will impact on you personally and professionally. Personally, later on you could be a mentor, you could help other teachers. It will help you as a skillful teacher, experienced teacher. So if you could help develop the motivation, that would be great. If the school or the idara or the supervision department help you to give some kind of incentives, awards, certificates, I know that financial control or giving financial incentives is something difficult because it's related to rules, related to laws, different things. But you could encourage your school principal, and some of them are very cooperative. You could some supervisors, some idara officials, senior officials to help with you developing this kind of motivation. The second challenge is that priorities are not defined. Some interested mentees have lots and lots of things they would like to develop through the process of mentoring, but they don't know which to start with and which to keep for working on later on. In this case, what we need to do, we need to talk to mentees, as you said in the chat box. We need to talk to them, to build a relationship, to develop trust. But when we get their trust, then we could elicit and act upon the priorities. If the mentees, if we do some kind of pre-mentoring assessment or needs analysis, if we do this, we would have, for example, a list of 20 or 30 items we need to work on. But the semester or the mentoring process through a month, whatever the time limit you have is limited. Then you talk to the mentees and agree on, for example, top 5 priorities we are going to do in this mentoring round or in this mentoring session. Then we will move to other priorities and so on. So it's as we said from in the very beginning, it's a sustainable process. It's continuous, and when we keep it continuous, it turns into sustainable. Then we have one of the challenges is that mentees have unrealistic expectations. And when we say mentees, please, we mean some mentees, because generalization is a great mistake. Mentees have unrealistic expectations. Some mentees think that the mentor will help them develop their pronunciation. The mentor or mentors will help them develop their lesson planning, classroom management, will help contact the idara, the مديرية, the supervision, the قطاع المعاهد الأزهرية to overcome all the challenges. But this is unrealistic. What to do in this case? We need to develop trust and the communication with mentees. When we have trust, we will help them agree on what things we as mentors could do to help them. There are things that we could do and help with, and there are things are out of our control. So we change the unrealistic expectations into realistic expectations. We change the so many priorities into a few priorities, and then we work on. All is related to trust and communication, as you see. Some mentees resist change, as you said in the chat box. Yes. Some think that, for example, this mentoring process is done? Simply because we have a notification from the sector of Al-Ma'ahid Al-Azhariyya. So we need to follow the routine and we need to act as if we do this. Some other mentees, on the contrary, they don't do this. How is this beneficial? Will you give us more money to do this? No, we are not going to help with this. And some or a few of them might try to destroy the process of mentoring. Please do not panic. Please do not take this personally. If someone stands in a mentoring room while you are doing a mentoring session, or if someone had a comment on a Facebook platform you have started, or on an online session you do, please do not panic at all. Please do not take this personally. Do not take this as if it is something to offend you. No, some people might take the context or the challenges of the context that they are in against you, as if they are against you, or as if they are against the process. What you need to do is to help the mentees get what and how to change. One of the psychological and the human challenge of change resistance is that people do not know what to change, how to change, and why to change. So one of your great jobs as mentors is to help them know what we are going to change, why we are going to change this, what are the benefits we are working for, and how to do the change. Some people might get what we need to change. Some people might get how to change, but why? This is related to the motivation, again, we have just spoken about. So when you help mentees, it's a matter of professional development. It's a matter of impact on your students. It's a matter of helping you to be a better teacher. It's a matter of getting a good report from Sheikh al-Ma'had and the supervisor, because some people would like to do what they should do related to the authority, and that's all. For those, we need to provide them with the minimum requirement, and we help them move from this very narrow perspective of teacher professional development into a wider scope. Yes, you need to follow what the esteemed Sheikh al-Ma'had and the supervisor would like to do, and then this will impact on you and help you move forward. So we take things gradually and step by step. The next challenge is that some participants cannot manage time or focus. We agree that we will have a 30-minute mentoring session. We get into lots of politics, talking about public affairs, and time flies. No, we need to set timelines. We need to set focus for this. So develop and follow timelines and plans. This will be a good solution for the problem of not managing time and focus. This session, we are going to talk about how to teach listening for young learners. So we are going to keep focusing on teaching listening, or teaching speaking, or teaching writing, whatever the topic is. So please develop a timeline, keep or insist on managing the time and help others manage the time and the focus at the same time. If some participants have more questions, have more focus, more topics to discuss, then you could move this to the after session time, or a new session later on. The next challenge is, some people think that mentoring is sometimes seasonal. Something we do in the first semester and that's all. Something we do in the mid-year holiday because we have lots of time after marking the students' exam papers, and that's all. Or this is related to promotion time. Some people think this. So our key challenge is to help them know, learn, and act upon that mentoring is a sustainable process. We need to do it all the time, because this impacts on our skills and practice and experience as teachers, and at the same time impact on our students. So we need to accept and act upon mentees' change of interest. We are all humans. Sometimes we are completely interested in something. In other time, this high climax of interest might go down, and we are not interested in this. As mentors, you need to be aware when those teachers have full or maximum interest and when this curve goes down. Of course, during exam times when teachers and supervisors have lots of work to do with exams, observing the students in exam rooms, marking the exam papers, of course, their interest in teacher professional development and mentoring will go down. So you need to be aware to when they have full or high interest and when they have some kind of low interest. And you need to develop timelines, focus, ways to develop the motivation at different times that suits different levels of interest. These are some of the challenges and some of the solutions. And there is no mentor who could give you a recipe for what could be the best solution for any challenge. It's a matter of you find a solution, you try, you find a challenge, then you try a solution, then you reflect and get feedback on how this solution work out. And again we will say this: the solution that might work in an Azhar institute in Komombo in Aswan might not work in an Azhar institute in Imbaba in Cairo. The solution that might work with teachers in North Sinai might not work with teachers in Marsa Matruh. I know that they are teaching the same subject, they are doing the same job, but again, the context, the teachers, the resources are totally different. So we need to be fully aware of that and act upon this diversity. Again, not everything in mentoring is related to challenges. Of course, there are lots of opportunities. First of all, mentoring helps to support early career teachers. When you have novice teachers, you could provide other experienced teachers to help them, and they will be observing their lessons. They will be giving and getting feedback from them. They will be helping them all the time inside the school or the institute. Again, mentoring is something that helps us to disseminate experienced teachers' expertise. On the other hand, we have early career teachers who need to learn from practice, and at the same time, we have human assets or human resources who are our experienced teachers. The experience of those teachers should be shared with early career teachers. Mentoring helps us to do this. We need to build mentor-mentees relationship and trust. Again, as you said in the chat box response, yes, it's a matter of relationship and trust building. This will help keep the process of mentoring very easy, very beneficial, and at the same time impactful. Develop growth of mentors and mentees. Some people think that mentoring is something that is beneficial for mentees because they might be early career teachers or novice teachers, and for mentors it is some kind of sharing experiences only. No, when mentors go through the process of mentoring, they learn more, they develop their practice, they develop with more and more mentees, they overcome lots and lots of challenges, they try different solutions. They test what might work well in a certain context and what might not work well. So it's a growth for both mentors and mentees at the same time. This mentoring helps to facilitate teacher training programs. What we have learned from lots and lots of teacher training programs is that people or teachers come to the training room. They have very nice context inside the training room. They get very good sessions, and they went away. When we continue the mentoring process after the training sessions or after the training programs, we keep the teacher training sustainable, and we keep it impactful on the ground, inside classrooms, inside schools, inside institutes. So it is something to back the teacher training. And now there is a great shift from teacher training to teacher professional development. Mentoring is one of the tools or one of the great tools that help us to do this facilitation of teacher training program. This is to keep teacher professional development. If you would like to keep the professional development going on, and teachers need to do this professional development until they retire. It's not related to that, to something that I have 20 years of, or 20 years plus experience of teaching. I need no more professional development. No, technology is changing, education is changing, assessment is changing. We have different new shifts in education, in teaching, and life and technology. So we need to keep our teachers developing themselves professionally. These are some of the opportunities that mentoring help us to do. Now it's time to cope with the global challenge. And soon, inshallah, the global challenge of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic will end all over the world, inshallah. The distance mentoring. Due to the lockdown, due to stopping schools, stopping university study, everything is locked down. So the solution is distance mentoring. This is to use what? To use modern technology like what we are using now, like Zoom, to go through remote mentoring. You stay at home, but you change this lockdown from a challenge into an opportunity. So the mentors contact their mentees or their participants via different electronic tools, such as emails, telephone calls, Skype, Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams. Now we have lots and lots of technology tools that help us to meet while we are staying at home. We could share our screens, we could share videos, resources, we could get and give feedback. So the challenge of the coronavirus showed that we have alternatives, showed that we could overcome all the challenges related to the lockdown and closing of everything. How could we develop this distance mentoring? There are different ways to do this. First of all, we need to allow time to build the relationships with teachers. Again, as any face-to-face mentoring, even in remote or distance or virtual mentoring, we need to have time to build the relationships. This might take more time than face-to-face because we meet through phone calls and through the virtual tools, but we need to allow time for this. Do not be in a rush to start the process of mentoring until you have some kind of good relationship and trust with teachers. We need to develop plans and strengthen our commitment. You are, as mentors and as mentees, you are committed to do the process of mentoring, and you are committed to do this remotely. But we need to have or to change this commitment or turn this into concrete plans, into timelines, into plans, sub-plans, into activities of mentoring. We need to listen actively and avoid interruptions, because when we talk to each other on the phone, when we have a WhatsApp group, when we have a Skype, Zoom, or Google Meet, or Microsoft Teams meeting, we need to help each other, listen to each other, because when we listen to each other, we learn more about our needs, our backgrounds, our current situation, and this is part of the human interaction we need to do in this challenging time. We need to communicate frequently between meetings. If you have a Zoom meeting, between two online meetings, you need to contact your mentees in groups, in pairs, or individually. You need to phone them, to WhatsApp them, to have some kind of relation and feedback, get and give feedback in between the different meetings. This will help develop the distance mentoring. We need to use technology for better communication. How? If you text someone through WhatsApp and you could see that your message didn't get to your mentee well, then you need to phone him or her. If you do something or you try to facilitate something and the impact or the benefit did not show to happen in the same way you would like, then you need to go to have more communication, and you need to search for more facilitating tools to do this. You need to be spontaneous, not to show off, not to be up in a way that's different to your normal way. You need to try to meet face to face at least once, if you could do this. And again, you need to follow the health instructions imposed by the local authority of health in your area, in your country. You need to follow this. If you could do this, if you couldn't do this, then you need to find more and more ways to communicate with your teachers or with your mentees. These are some of the ways that could help develop the distance mentees. As you all said, challenging mentees are those mentees who are hard to deal with. Some of them resist the change. Some of them might have little knowledge. Some of them might see that they are perfect and they need no more training, no more professional development, no more mentoring. Now we are going to classify some of the common types of the challenges, and we are going to share some tips to deal with each type. First of all, some mentees might be unfocused. They get into the mentoring process, but they are not focused. How could we deal with those people? We need to help them focus on goals. From time to time, you as mentors visit the goals and review the progress. If they try to take you away from the key focus, then you refer them back to goals, to the progress they have achieved, and at the same time to the ground rules of the mentoring process you have agreed from the very beginning. We said that in the second phase, we have to establish some kind of agreements. So with unfocused people, we get them back to the key focus of the mentoring session or the mentoring phone call or a mentoring WhatsApp conversation. And we refer them to the goal. The second type of challenging mentees are the manipulative ones. Those who would like to deal with everything in a random way. They don't follow the rules. They don't respect the different rules. What to do with those people? Again, we help them in a constructive, in a developmental, not in an authoritative way, to revisit the boundaries and the rules of each person. We have the submissive, the third type of challenging mentees, the submissive mentees. Those mentees who follow all the instructions of the authority, and they need to satisfy the authority. Yes, you are the head of Al-Mahad, you are the senior supervisor, the senior teacher. You need us to get into a room of mentoring where Mr. Saeed or Mr. Ali or Ms. Amani is doing some kind of mentoring. Okay, we will attend, but we will not take part in. We will not be productive. You will find this type of mentees. What to do with them? Again, we need to revisit the rules. We need to engage them in different activities. We need to ask them or talk to them about their expectations and try to get them out of their routine expectations. They need to follow what the authority would like them to follow, and that's all. What about the benefits? What about getting back to the classroom to improve the process of students' learning and progress? They are not after these expectations. No, you need to get them back to the different roles. You need to get them back to the expectations to help them to raise their motivation. We have saboteur mentees, those who would like or who tend to destroy the process of mentoring. They are, as you all said, they resisted the change, and they need to destroy the process. They might need to destroy the process because they are against the routine, they are against the school rules or the Mahad rules, they are against the context they are in. So they might have different factors that push them to destroy the process. Again, what you need to do is to reset the boundaries and limits, and to take everything back to the ground rules of the mentoring process, either you are doing face-to-face or distance mentoring. We have some mentees who are jealous. Like one of our colleagues said on the chat box, they think they are perfect. And I would be clear that some of them might think that they are better than the mentor. He is a mentor because he joined the X program and we didn't join this program. You might find some mentees like this. What you need to do with those is to recognize them well, is to value their experience if they are experienced teachers, is to take them to focus on the closure and celebration. Because sometimes those jealous people might have some kind of ego. They need to be valued, they need to be celebrated. So you need to do this, but at the same time, you are careful to what is the impact that your actions will have on other mentees. These are some of the challenging mentees, and of course you might meet other challenging mentees. You reflect on the challenging mentees and you try the solution. What might work well for a challenging mentee might not work for another. What might work for a challenging mentee in a certain context or situation might not work with others. So again, let's get back to the opportunities of mentoring. It's a matter of growth for both mentors and mentees at the same time. We need, before we come to the closure, we need to end with 5 simple words about good mentors. Good mentors respect all people, either experienced or early career teachers. They respect the rules, they respect the agreements, they respect everything other people or instructions, agreements, plans, timelines, and when they make a mistake or when they are not able to follow the instructions or timelines, they apologize for not following the rules or timelines. Good mentors listen carefully, because part of the process of mentoring is to develop, or one of the phases is to develop the good relationship and trust with mentees. To do this, we need to listen actively, not to listen and then you let everything go away. No, you listen, you reflect on what your mentees said to you, you try to find ways to facilitate learning for them. At the same time, good mentors collaborate. They collaborate with mentees, they collaborate with other mentors, and I would like to share something. For me, as one of 2017 Relo Cairo mentor participants, we could find lots and lots of help from our previous esteemed generation, or the first generation of Relo Cairo mentors 2016. All of them shared their experiences, talked about the challenges and everything they have faced and what successes they have made. Good mentors also need to model, to be good model or role models for others, to show them, to show mentees how to do something. But again, to model is not to do spoon feeding. You need to help them, to show them, but not to act instead of them. Good mentors also celebrate the progress, the successes, even the partial successes of the mentees, because part of our psychology as human is to do self-estimation. We need to do something, and at the same time is self-recognition, and we need to be valued by others because we did something good. So good mentors respect others, listen actively, collaborate with mentees, mentors, with supervisors, with senior teachers, heads of departments, institute officials, idara or mantaqa officials. They model, and at the same time they celebrate. So these 5 key verbs or keywords help us to go through the mentoring process in a very good way. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Samir.
Again, I would like to thank Relo Cairo for the Relo Cairo mentor program, and for the Relo Azhar mentor platform, Mr. Saeed, and all his great teams. Thank you so much, and I'm waiting on the chat box to share your questions, concerns, feedback, and at the same time, I will talk to Mr. Saeed on how to share the material with you. Thank you so much.
Dear colleagues, if you want to ask Mr. Samir questions, you can raise your hand, please. Do you have any questions for Mr. Samir?
Yes, Mr. Ahmed, some mentees say we are doing very well, doing it on our way, whatever traditional it is, we don't need help. Yes, again, Mr. Ahmed, when we need to change, we need to help our mentees to know what to change. We need to highlight the traditional part and the impact of following the same traditional way. Then why we do the change, what are the benefits of following a new approach or a modern way of doing something, and at the same time, how to do this. For example, if we are teaching English in a traditional way, giving lectures, the teacher is doing all things inside the classroom, and we need to teach it in following the communicative approach. We need to show them the benefits of the communicative approach and how to implement this, and why we need to get rid of the traditional one. If we answer the three questions, what, how, and why we change, then we help them to overcome this. Mrs. Ghada, nowadays, what's mentoring like online? Mentors are to help mentees with their face-to-face teaching. Now there is no face-to-face teaching. Yes. Thank you so much for this very good question. We need to ask our teachers or to raise our teachers' feedback on certain topics related to their teaching during the short period of the second semester up to 15th of March when we started the lockdown, and throughout the first semester. And we could ask them two main questions that help them to reflect and give feedback in a nice or interesting way. What went well when you were teaching in the first semester and second part and the part of the second semester, and what could be done better in the future? When you ask them what went well, they will share their success stories. What went well, they reflect on. When you ask the second question, what could be done, what could be better, could be done better later on, then they could see what to change and how to change. Then when we get, inshallah, to the new semester in September, bismillah, then we will have some teachers who are ready, who have a wide range of reflection portfolio on their success stories in 2019, the year or the school year of 2019-20, and at the same time they are prepared to 2021 new school year. Will we be shared the slides? I will talk to Mr. Saeed on how to do this. How can we deal with older mentees as they do not accept the younger? Thank you so much, Mr. Saeed, for this. Again, it's a matter of relationship and trust. Yes, with older mentees, you might find it more difficult or harder to deal with them. So you need to listen to them, to appreciate and value them. You need to make use of their experience as if they are your helping mentors. Not to say that they are mentees. Yes, they are mentees, but at some point of time during the face-to-face mentoring session or online mentoring session, you need to ask them to give their input, not as mentees, to say that we have experienced participants here, not to use the word mentee. We have experienced participants here. They have lots and lots of experience they would like to share with us, and we are lucky as mentors to learn from them and to give the stage to them. In this way, you give them their value, and they are ready to share their experiences. Some mentees say we need a lot of materials in class to do their job well. Yes. To be prepared for this, we don't wait until we have this question. Once we are preparing for a mentoring session, we prepare more and more resources. But what we need to do is, again, not to spoon feed them, not to give them the fish. We need to give them the hook. We need to refer them to resources related to EKB, Egyptian Knowledge Bank, related to different websites, and now we have lots and lots of websites related to different entities related to teaching and learning English. So we need to be ready each time. We need to be ready with some resources for them. Open communication to keep goals current. Yes, thank you so much. The key word here is communication. This communication will help develop relationship and trust. Then we go on or move on to plans, timelines, milestones, success criteria. Then we come to closure and celebration. If the older mentee feels proud to be developed or mentored by younger mentor, what can we do? We need to limit or stop their feeling that they are mentored by younger ones. We need to involve them in a way that I am a mentor, I am younger than them, but they are more experienced than me, and they will share their experiences as mentors like me. So a mentor is an experienced teacher. But it's a matter of how we deliver the message and how we involve or engage those older teachers in our sessions. Again, relationship does concern. Thank you so much. Totally agree. What are some points that differentiate teaching and mentoring? Yes. Teaching is something related to students, is something done inside the classrooms or outside the classrooms, but it helps students to learn, to progress. But mentoring helps people who already have career and they need to move forward on in their careers. Sure, there are common areas between teaching and mentoring, and there are other areas which are different. The relationship of mentors and mentees is different from the relationship of teachers and learners. The context where teachers and mentors work is different. So it is related somehow, and it is not related in other areas. Thank you, Mr. Matt. Thank you so much for this nice conversation and very fruitful conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Samir.
And act upon them. I have the PowerPoint and I have some PDF resources, and I will share with you, Mr. Saeed, to see how we could share with our dear colleagues. Okay. What are the points that differentiate? Yes, thank you so much. Please to get any question or something or points to talk about.
Do you still have any questions, my dear colleagues?
I would like to add something. When you start the mentoring journey, and when you start to enjoy the mentoring journey, it will be something like, I know the simile is different, something like a drug. You won't stop it. You will continue it. And when you help people on face-to-face sessions, on online sessions, you will find that you enjoy this process and you enjoy disseminating and sharing your ideas. Because when you share more and more experience and practice, and people share all across the country in different areas, then you find that you do something that is valuable. So it's not it's not a tick box activity. When we joined the mentor program, we have some kind of traditional perspective about teacher training. But when we go through the training, and when we started the process of mentoring, and we worked with other teachers, and we learned from our previous great mentors and those who came in other generations up till now, we have learned that it's a good process, it's a nice process, it's a beneficial process. But the challenge is that we are new to this. Mentoring is something new to our context. Again, we get used to teacher training, we get used to certificates, we get used to إخلاء الطرف or release letter, and that's all. We need to add more lines to the CV, and that's all. What we need to do is to take what's between the lines of your CV back into your classroom. For me, I was a teacher and teacher trainer in Monofia. Through the mentoring program, I developed my networking. And one of your great opportunities of mentoring program is that you develop your networking, not only in Egypt and outside Egypt. I took part in different national and international conferences. First of all, at the very beginning, I attended the conferences. Later on, I took a step forward, and I submitted proposals, and I presented in some national and international conferences in Egypt, in the UK, in the United States, in TESOL International in Chicago in 2018, as my name was drawn as one of the mentors to travel to the US on International Visitor Leadership Program, TESOL Education in 2018. So I attended some classrooms in schools in New York, and I attended and presented in TESOL International Convention in Chicago in 2018, alongside with my dear colleague who is now the president of 9 TESOL, Dr. Ghada Abul Hassan. So we started our partnership as learners together through TESOL International Convention, and so far she is the president of 9 TESOL, and I am the president-elect of 9 TESOL. So you as teachers and you as mentors have lots of skills, have lots of experience, have lots of potential success stories. All you need is to go on, to act upon your commitment and skills, to share your experiences, and there is no limit for the success story you could do, either in Egypt or outside Egypt. And again, we would like to thank Relook Cairo for helping us to get this opportunity to share our experiences and success stories and challenges. And remember that it's not a matter of all success stories all the time. Surely there are ups and downs, but what we need to do is to celebrate, recognize, value the ups, and learn from the downs to change them into ups. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Samir. We hope to see you again very soon, inshallah, talking about another topic. Thank you, my dear colleagues, mentors, and participants.